What was the Mothman that appeared in West Virginia in the 1960s and has been seen all around the world since then? Is it an unknown animal, an alien, a paranormal presence, or a prank that got out of hand? This video will examine this topic. In the Point Pleasant region of West Virginia in the late 1960s, a mysterious creature was said to have been causing terror among the locals. Described as a massive, human-like being with wings and glowing red eyes, the creature was reportedly over 6.5 feet tall with a wingspan of around 10 feet. The first reported sighting of the creature occurred on November 12, when 5 cemetery workers claimed to have seen a brown human being lifting off from a nearby tree and flying over their heads. This was followed by the most famous of all Mothman sightings just a few days later. On the evening of November 15, 2 married couples from Point Pleasant, Roger and Linda Scarberry and Steve and Mary Millette, reported seeing a strange creature while driving past an abandoned World War II TNT factory outside of Point Pleasant. They noticed 2 glowing red eyes and a large animal shape, which Scarberry described as being shaped like a man, but bigger, maybe 6.5 or 7 feet tall, with big wings folded against its back. When the creature moved, the couples fled in their car, with the creature reportedly following them in the air as they drove at speeds of over 100 miles per hour. On the same night, a group of 4 other witnesses claimed to have spotted the creature on 3 separate occasions, and building contractor Newell Partridge reported an encounter with the creature that ended with a strange connection to the couple's story. Partridge was at home watching television when the screen went dark and was replaced with a strange pattern. He then heard loud, whining sounds outside and went to investigate, only to see 2 glowing eyes that resembled bicycle reflectors. His dog, Bandit, ran off after the eyes and was never seen again. It wasn't until Partridge read a quote in the newspaper from Scarberry stating that he and his 3 passengers had seen the body of a large dog on the side of the road as they entered Point Pleasant that Partridge realized what had happened to his dog. On November 16, Mrs. Marcella Bennett and 2 friends, Mr. and Mrs. Raymond Walmsley, reported seeing a funny red light in the sky that seemed to float above the TNT plant. As they approached the plant, they saw a figure rise up from the ground, described as a big gray thing with glowing eyes. The group fled to the house of Mr. and Mrs. Ralph Thomas and called the police, but by the time officers arrived, the creature had vanished. In total, there were over 100 reported sightings of the Mothman during this time period, with many individuals also claiming to have seen UFOs and experiencing strange occurrences and paranormal activity. Some people even claim to have received telepathic messages from the creature. The Mothman sightings ended abruptly in December 1967, and some people believe that the creature was a harbinger of disaster, as the collapse of the Silver Bridge in Point Pleasant just a few months later resulted in the deaths of 46 people. In the aftermath of the initial Mothman sightings in West Virginia between 1966 and 1967, journalist and ufologist John Keel traveled to the area to conduct research for a book on the subject. Combining his findings with theories on supernatural events, UFOs, men in black, and other disasters, Keel published the Mothman Prophecies in 1975. The book gained widespread attention and cemented the idea that Mothman was an ominous presence, linked to the eventual collapse of the Silver Bridge. The Mothman Prophecies became further embedded in popular culture with the release of a Hollywood film adaptation starring Richard Gere and Laura Linney. Sightings of the Mothman have been reported around the world in recent years, often in connection with major events such as natural disasters, accidents, and other tragedies. Some people believe that the Mothman's appearances serve as a warning of impending doom, and there have been a number of notable Mothman sightings linked to significant events such as the Chernobyl disaster of 1986, the Mexican swine flu outbreak of 2009, and the Fukushima nuclear disaster in Japan in 2011. One of the most famous Mothman sightings occurred in 1978, when miners in Freiburg, Germany reported seeing a headless creature with glowing red eyes and wings blocking the entrance to their mine. The creature let out a loud, piercing screech, causing the miners to flee in terror. Tragically, the mine collapsed about an hour later, and if the miners had entered as usual, they would have all been killed. There were also several reported sightings of a large, winged creature near the Twin Towers in New York City in the days leading up to the terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001. Some eyewitnesses even claimed to have seen a creature flying alongside the second plane as it crashed into the towers. In 2011, Marcus Pules, an American on a business trip in Japan, claimed to have seen a large black creature with blood-red eyes sitting on top of a building near the Fukushima nuclear plant. The creature unfurled its wings and flew over Pules and his companion, causing them to feel a sense of dread. Fuels later received a call from his friend, urging him to turn on the television and watch a CNN report about the devastation caused by the Japanese earthquake and explosions at the Fukushima plant, where they had seen the creature. Many people believe that the Mothman's appearance in these areas was a sign of the disaster that was to come. Many theories exist as to what the Mothman actually is or why it appears. Sandhill cranes are often suggested as a possible explanation for the Mothman sightings. These birds can reach a height of 6 feet and have a wingspan of 10 feet, similar to the size described in Mothman sightings. They also have reddish patches on their head, which could be mistaken for red eyes in low light conditions. Alternatively, some believe that Mothman was an extraterrestrial being due to the strange paranormal activity that surrounded the Point Pleasant area at the time of the sightings. Another theory is that Mothman was a toxic mutation of a local wild bird, possibly caused by the high levels of toxic chemicals that were stored at the TNT site during World War II. Regardless of the true identity of Mothman, the creature remains a mystery to this day. However, some people believe that the Mothman was nothing more than a Halloween prank. According to Joe Nichols' book Mystery Chronicles, a man hiding his costume in an abandoned factory is responsible for the sightings. Nichols, a skeptic and investigator of the paranormal, found that the Mothman events were followed by a number of hoaxes, including construction workers attaching flashlights to helium balloons and releasing them into the night sky. These hoaxes were likely inspired by the publicity generated by the original Mothman reports. The legend of the Mothman continues to thrive in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, where a 12-foot tall steel statue of the creature stands outside the local historical museum. The statue features massive wings and ruby red eyes, providing visitors with a visual representation of the Mothman. Every September, a festival is held in honor of the Mothman and the events that took place during its visitations. While the truth about the Mothman may be lost to history, the legend remains alive and well.